Hello, good morning everybody. I hope you can see my screen and also hear my voice. We are just on the second day to the last day of the month. So we'll start analysis with the first chart on our screen, which this is Euro USD. We'll look at what we expect to happen this week, today, and we'll start with the daily. Let's look at daily first. So on this chart, I want to delete all this. There are a lot of symbols on my screen. Let me delete them first so that we have a plain screen. This is what we have. So I had a trend line here some few days ago from this level here running all the way past this one, and then there was also another one from the bottom, which is this. Then I mentioned that these are the places to trade from, that as long as the price remains in between the ranges, the line on top and the line on the bottom, we actually are waiting to buy if it bounces off from the lower one and sell if it bounces off from the upper one. So if you are checking these charts properly, you actually see this. We had this a support, a support, a support, a support, and in case price comes back to the same place, we'll also be looking for a buy. So the best is not to look for a buy now, but rather to wait for price to come back up to that level so that you can buy it from that point to the upper side. This is what we expect to happen. We expect price to come back down up to this trend line, then we'll buy it from that point to the upper line. This is basically what should happen. The price should try coming back down, then when it reaches this point but does not close below, we'll pick a buy from that point to the top, just this trend line. So the trend here is downwards, and we are likely not to see price get back to this level. So if you successfully buy it there, you may also want to take profit around this level. So if you successfully buy it from that point, price may likely get back up to this level here. So it's not necessary that the price has to get to this level. It may come back up to that point and then just turn back to the lower side. So be prepared for something like this. Instead of price hitting this level, it may actually bounce off from this point and then continue to the lower side. So this one also is a good place to look for a sell from. So while you'll be looking for a sell and expecting, for a buy and expecting price to proceed up to the upper trend line, you are likely to see a case where the price may fail to continue to the upper side, instead bounce off from the level which I've mentioned. So we'll move forward. We'll move to our next chart, and that is USD JPY. I'll move to GBP instead first. This chart on the weekly makes more sense. These are the levels to look for. We have this, as you can see, this was a resistance, it was broken, a support, and then there was a false break. It came back and there was some struggling around the same zone. We also have this level here, and then you have another one on top there, and then we have one at the top, which is there. So if price approaches any of these levels, if price comes down up to around 1.21022, we look for a buy. But if price proceeds upwards up to this level here, we look for a sell. So as it is at the moment, although we are seeing price move downwards, but we expect it actually to come back to this level. We expect it to get back to this resistance. So as much as we are looking for a sell, there's some move to the lower side, to the seller side, we actually expect price to proceed up to this resistance. So these are the levels to look for. Anytime the price approaches any of these lines, be sure to look for a trade. Overall, the trend here is bearish. Therefore, if you want to trade anything, you may look for a sell. You may still look for a sell, but only up to the lower line, and that line is 1.21023. So we'll move forward. I will move forward to the next symbol, and that is USD JPY. This is how this chart looks, and What I have to say here is that we had a resistance here, a resistance, and then we had this as support, and then you also have this as a support, and then you have this as a support, then we have this as a resistance. So if you are checking this chart, these are the levels to look for. There's a minor level here, it looks also good, but it's not as good as the others, this one. So if price bounced off perfectly from this level, the next key place to look for a sell from is actually here. It's this level. So we expect the current week's candle, this one, it may push price upwards, but that should not go beyond this level 1.108.182. If price is to move up based on the fact that this is support, we expect it to go only up to this resistance. So if this does not happen, that instead of price reaching this level, it actually goes and breaks below 104.656, then that will be another sell up to the next level, which is this. So technically on this chart, I'm looking at these levels only. These are the levels I'm focusing on. Anytime the price approaches any of those levels, I'll be looking for a trade. But as it is at the moment, my expectation that the price should continue to the upper side. We should see further movements to the upper side, and those movements should only take price up to around 108.182. That is this week, and possibly next week. The other side I've mentioned already. So we'll move forward. I'll move to the next symbol, which is SP500. We have it here. And this one yesterday I actually mentioned something very interesting. If you can remember, the price is basically moving as we mentioned. We had this here, a resistance. Then we had this as a support. Then I basically colored this area here. Had this one. Then I said there's something which I mentioned, that if you observe the way price entered into this range here, you will see that there was this massive move to the lower side. Then when reaching here, it gapped down and then came and closed above, then proceeded to the upper side. So the same thing, the price went down, but just before it hit this level, it gapped down, went as low as this, then came and closed above and ended up meeting this resistance. The same thing happened, this was earlier this week. There was a big move downwards. Then on Monday, it actually gapped down, went as low as this, but ended up closing here. So that means from what has been happening, price should go up to this resistance 2938.0, and so far only on Tuesday that did not happen. On Wednesday the same thing happened. Earlier today we are seeing price moving massively to the upper side, so we expect that move to continue. We expect price to be proceeding upwards. It has to go up to this resistance. We have to go up to around 2938.0. So if anything is to go by, you need to look for buy positions, look for buy orders up to this resistance. On the Forex, this is how it looks. You can see that it's really perfect. It looks really clean on the Forex. And if I was to extend this slightly, we have this one. We have this level here. Just look at how perfect this level is. A very good resistance and a very good support. So we basically just want price to come back up to that level. Let price try climbing up to the resistance, which is 2938.0. If price can come perfectly up to that resistance, that will be a good place to look for a trade from. So we'll basically just be expecting price to pull back up to that level, then we pick a sell. But in case price goes beyond that level, then that will mean we are continuing to the upper side. So the best is to wait for just a minor retracement. Wait for a minor retracement, then you pick a buy after that retracement up to this resistance, which is here. This is the resistance here. So if you buy a break above this line, if something like this happens and the price goes above, we'll just wait for retracement, then we'll pick a second buy up to this resistance 3024.7. This is what we expect to happen: a break above, a retracement, then we pick a buy to the next level. So we'll move forward to Brent oil. Brent oil is here. Brent oil so far, actually this looks like a shape for me. I can see that this is a very good shape here. The way I draw this trend line is I leave the tails outside, but I ensure that all the bodies are covered. We have this resistance, the first one. We have a resistance there, and then you have the next resistance here. We also have the third one, which is here, and then you have the fourth one, which happened just should be yesterday here. And then on the bottom side, lower side, we have this level. So if you look at this chart at the moment, you should see that we are actually approaching a resistance, which is this. If price does not clearly ascend above this level, then that will be a good place to look for a sell from. If price does not rise beyond that line, the upper one, then we'll be looking for a sell. Especially if it rises but does not break above, we'll look for a sell. And in case price goes to that level, but then it breaks above it, that means we are continuing to the upper side. So you need to look for even further positions for moving to the upper side. Look for places for buying. So we'll move forward. We'll move to the last symbol, and that should be gold. I have gold here. So gold so far has been moving just as we said, but there's a resistance here which price needs to break beyond. We also have that support there. So these are the levels to look for. These are my only levels. I want price to break above this line, retrace back so that we sell it, we buy it, sorry. But if that does not happen, that the current forward candle does not do that it does not close above, I'll expect price to proceed up to the lower side because this is our resistance. So I won't recommend selling this, although it looks good, but I want somebody to wait for price to get down up to this level, then you pick a buy from that point. So the main reason I'm saying you're supposed to buy instead of selling is because the overall trend in this case is bullish. We are upwards, so the best is to remain with what the overall trend is. If the trend is upwards, you need to look for a buy, and if the trend is downwards, then that's when you're supposed to look for a sell. So we give more priority to people buying than to those people who are selling. If you are looking at this chart, you should be looking for buy positions only. That looks much better. So thank you very much. That should bring us to the end of today's webinar. We meet again tomorrow at the same time.